is the greatest moment in my life.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. How are we doing? Oh, I'll tell you what, bit of a change this week, bit of a change. People may notice something slightly different about chain wrestling this week. Don't panic. It's going to be as excellent as always, okay? It's just a different beaker. That's all it is. All right, the glass has been retired downstairs, okay? It's going to be fine. It just means I won't spill it as much, okay? That's all it comes down to. Now, obviously, I am talking fully in jest. With me is Mr. Matt Willis. Matt, thank you so much for stepping in for Mr. Mags, who is away on top secret international missions.
We'd have to tell you, we tell you what it is, but I kill you. So,
sorry,
we tell you what it is. We have to kill you. So
yeah,
it's that secret.
The fact that I've even spoken about it being top secret has probably put me in trouble.
Indeed.
You know, but yeah, Magsy's away, dealing with some stuff that is of utmost importance. And Matt has jumped into the hot seat to step in and make sure that we still get Chain Wrestling Live and the podcast version later in the week out to all you wonderful, wonderful people. Matt, how does it feel sitting there on a Chain Wrestling show for the very first time?
Oh, you know the saying like stepping into. I feel like Jimmy Traore stepping into Sammy Hippie's shoes. You know,
okay.
I'm never going to fit into his lordship's brush. I'm going to do my best, right?
No problem. Okay then. Okay, for the benefit of everybody who is going to be listening to the audio version later in the week. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Matt and Si, a Radio Tekkers production. I am Si, and with me, not as always, but for the very first time, is the knobs to my sags. It's a Nasty Boys reference for anyone starts thinking different, because I know everyone's mind works out there, okay? The British Bulldog to my overweight horn dog, a podcaster who is taking bets still on how many times I'm going to accidentally call him Mags in the next hour and a half. The magnificent Matt Willis. How are you doing, sir?
Kablam. I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm doing well, thank you very much, Si. Yeah, so far the bets are rolling in so far. I currently have a book open on that. It's 6 or more in the first quarter of an hour. So
I've nearly done it twice already.
Mm-hmm.
I've nearly done it twice already. It's going to happen.
I call Tanner Mags all the time on Tekkers. That's all good. How about you? How you been, man?
Yeah, okay, mate. Okay, bit of an odd weekend, really. Problems with a leaky ceiling once again, so that's a bit of an issue at home. But my middle daughter, Liv, she dislocated her knee playing for the City football team this weekend. So
ouchie.
She's now strapped up, led down, unable to move for God knows how long. Got to wait for a date for an MRI scan because, not good news at all, my friend. Big swollen knee. Lots and lots of pain and so on. So yeah, quite a serious injury she's picked up. So that's a bit of a shame.
I've done mine knee a couple of both knees at different times in my life. Never a good feeling at any point. Yeah. So yeah, I'm much love and get well soon, girl. Get well soon.
Yeah, I mean it's coming up to the end of her season anyway. So hopefully she won't miss too much football and she can have the summer to, I suppose, rebuild, rehab, whatever, and get back to where she should be. Real shame for her. And it was literally in the first couple of minutes of the game, just her and a centre back sort of banging into each other. Her studs caught in the ground. There was a bit of a snap, and her knee just went. So,
just say the word snap in that context. Just give me make me feel ooky.
Well, she says that she could physically hear 4 different pops and snaps.
4 different ones.
Yeah, 4 separate bang, 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 bang.
That's I don't think that's just wrong, but it's just bad. It's just your body should make that sort of noise.
And the thing is with Liv, the doctor said when they saw her in the hospital, she's got an incredibly high pain threshold. They said that she should be like bawling her eyes out and unable to move at the moment, but she was like hobbling to the door and all this sort of stuff. And initially, after she stayed down for a while, my wife said straight away she knew something was wrong because Liv stayed down. And then when they saw her, she'd actually had tears in her eyes and so on as well, which makes a massive Liv. That never happens with Liv. But she did at one stage stand up to see if she could put any weight on it to carry on playing.
And down to it. That sounds like Stuart Pearce. Stuart Pearce played for West Ham back in the late 90s.
Yes, I remember.
And he tried to run off a broken leg.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
Yeah, that's not like you're living.
Yeah, I tore the ligaments in my right ankle and played the last 15 minutes. But I literally went and stood out on the left wing and did nothing. I just stood out there just so we weren't down to 10 men. I did nothing. But yeah, I tried to sort of.
They could have put you in nets. It would have been fine.
Yeah, well, I suppose this is what I could run. It's obviously so many moons ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we have a quick look? What's going on in the chat then?
Well, it's been lighting up already, Mr. Si. Obviously, we're going to have to shoot. I've got to scroll to the top of the chat because it's gone out much already. Dan Griffin joining in. All the usual suspects are gathering, having their popcorn and just taking their seats. Dan Griffin saying, "Evening, you lovely CWF lot." Your good, lovely wife Sharon says, "It's Monday night." You know what that means.
Oh, yes.
Dan Griffin saying something is different. Sorry, you trimmed your beard?
Not for a while, mate. Not for a while. I wonder what it could be.
I wonder what it could be, indeed.
It's the beaker. It's the beaker.
Yeah, it's the beaker, indeed. The Morty and Fitch podcast says, "Evening, lads," and then it says, "Have the Morty." Now, I'm aware this is a error, but bearing in mind some of the bands that comes minutes later, I'm going to quickly go. Evening, obviously, lots of things there. Obviously, the correction about Fitch, correcting about Have that Morty. The wonderful Scottish Danny from A Changing Attitude, One Man's Me, and of course Nitro Nights with Your Good Self.
Taking over the podcast world.
He is. He's doing more than me now.
One show at a time, pal. Taking over the podcast world.
Dan Griffin saying, "God damn it, bitch. I thought Morty got arrogant and started talking like The Rock."
And the third person.
and everybody just basically talking in the third person to each other and just making themselves feel welcome. And Dan Griffin agreeing, one gnarly knee injury.
Yeah, yeah. Poor lass. I mean, she's already frustrated because she can't go out and see her mates. And with Livy, it's like the sun's out.
Like the world has ended.
Yeah, exactly. Driving her batty it is, but got to be done. She's got to sit there and she's got to recuperate, mate. Can't be out and about with her buddies whilst her knee is wrecked. Do you know what I mean? So
no, absolutely not. No.
There we go. So then, I suppose before we get on to our non-wrestling topic this week, which was a fantastic bombardment of responses, we're going to have some interesting conversations there, I think, about items and well, anything at all that people just don't get. You know, it's going to be quite interesting.
I predict a impromptu mat attack, to put it that way.
Okay.
I haven't done one of those in a long time.
Oh, we've never had one on this show either. So yeah, there we go.
Right.
Yeah. So shall we chuck some embarrassing, ridiculous, shameful gimmicks into the old Hall of Lane, Matt?
I think we should do that right now, sir.
The Hall of
I love that so much. Every week, I love it.
That's actually Livy going lame at the end. That's the broken need live on that little jingle that we made there. So yeah, fair play to her. She didn't realize it was going to go out every week, and she was like, "I don't want to do it. I was like, "No, it's fine. I'm going to use it once." Whoops.
A week. Once a week.
Once a week. That's right. Yeah.
Let's get the audio version in case you might be in trouble.
Wow, this is true. Matt, go on then, my friend. The first person to ever have an entry into the Hall of Lane that has not been put forward by Mr. Mags or I. What have you got for us, buddy?
Right. Okay. Now, I got one I want to do, but I'm going to save that for later down the line, maybe if I need to use it another time. This one, I'm going to go to someone who was a Hollywood actor, actually. No, it's not The Miz.
Okay.
Okay. He made the jump from Hollywood actor to WWE wrestling superstar in 1989.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is a man who is an actor by the name of Tom Lister. Now, most people in the chat are probably already aware who I'm about to go to. I'm pretty sure you are as well, so for people who aren't aware, Lister starred as Zeus in the TV film, or the produced film, No Holds Barred, which starred Hulk Hogan, of course.
Yep.
and he appeared in WWE as the exact same character, continuing the feud with Hogan that they started in the film. Forgetting, of course, that Hogan didn't play Hogan in the film.
No.
So what's up with that?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, he was only in the company for a few months, and it finished with a teaming with Randy Savage against Hogan and Beefcake in a steel cage match. That's quite a stellar. If you're going to have a feuding with Hogan for your only feud is not a bad thing to do normally. But it was so poorly conceptualized. And the fact of the matter is that he was literally the character from a TV show, basically, wrestling on. I mean, I'm aware that some people may be shouting at me on the audio version later on in the week, saying, but what about the Jackass match with WrestleMania? Yeah, but that's meant to be slapstick. This was meant to be serious.
And that was fantastic. That was awesome. Sami Zayn is an absolute legend. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. He can hang his hat on that. That could be the best WrestleMania match of all time. But when Zeus left the WWE after that match, he hadn't won a single match. So the only person who his entire career is a 0% win record.
Really? The only one?
Well, true. Well, certainly someone who's main evented anyway.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Even Heath Slater won matches.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Zeus for me is the person who goes on the Hall of Fame because because it was one of the lamest idea that Vince ever had. And let's face it, it was 1989. He wasn't short of character to defeat Hogan, was he?
No, very true. And I remember as well, when I was younger, I mean, I've told the story many times in the past that there were certain videotapes I had when I was a kid that I played to death. SummerSlam 1989 was one of them. And I was, I don't know, 8 maybe. I remember when I was a kid completely buying into this and thinking this is amazing because I'd never seen the film. So to me, it was just Macho Man and Sherry Martel, God bless her, bring in this huge monster of a man in to try and take on Hogan. And obviously until SummerSlam 89 started, the main event started, the bell actually rang, you didn't know quite how bad this guy was going to be as a kid. Obviously, as a grown up now, you could see the signs. But to me, it was a case of, oh my goodness, look at the size of this guy. And 8-year-old me was very much, I bought into everything that happened around SummerSlam 89 and that event and so on. Now, as an adult, I think it says a lot that when the best part of your gimmick is the fact you've got a wonky eye. I think that's a big thing. That if that's
that was Perry Saturn's gimmick at one point as well.
And you got a Z shaved in your hair on the side. When that's the best part of your gimmick, there's something wrong with this character on screen, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I hope you'll accept him into the Hall of Fame.
I very much will do. Very much will do. He ended up in WCW as well, I think.
That's not a good idea. Given how WWE wasn't exactly at the peak in the time, that's not saying much.
I'm fairly certain he turned up in WCW. I think me and Scottish Danny will be coming up to it soon on Nitro Nights because it was when Hogan and Savage faced the Dungeon of Doom and God knows how many other people. Basically, Hogan wanted to run through every heel in the company. So they put them all in a cage and let Hogan go through all of them. And I'm fairly certain Zeus was part of that.
World War III, wasn't it?
No, World War III was a big 60-man battle royal. This was like a cage with several tiers in it.
That's what I thought. I thought that was World War III 1 year.
No. Oh, it might well have been 1 year.
This is where I need to make sure I listen to Nitro Nights and keep up with all of this stuff.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Yeah, I appreciate that. But Hogan and Savage, I think, started at the top of the cage and had to fight their way through. And I've got the visual.
I've got the visual for sure. Yeah, I think Flair was in there as well at some point.
Yeah, Flair and Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson turned up in jeans, I think, because he was like completely not arsed. He was just like, "What am I doing?" Brian Pillman didn't even turn up at all. He was just like, "Yeah, I ain't doing this."
yeah, that was definitely the era where we're being paid. We'll sit at home. We're digressing, of course.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Who's your side?
Well, mine actually comes from a conversation Mags and I had on a previous episode, and then seeing the individual on the show or the match that we've watched for today's Chain Wrestling. Okay. And some people may see it as controversial because this guy this guy was a relatively good wrestler, and he had some good times as a tag team wrestler. However, it's not him as a tag wrestler or in his previous guises I'm putting him in. I'm putting him in literally as the character we saw in October of 1991. And that was the Mountie. The Mountie, the Rougeau brothers were fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
The Quebecers were fantastic. Absolutely.
The Quebecers I enjoyed as well. The Quebecers were awesome, even though it was very, very similar gimmick to the Mountie, of course.
They're very easily mixed up because of it.
Yes. And again, like I said, the Rougeaus were awesome. The Rougeaus were absolutely superb. And what a brilliant entrance theme the fabulous Rougeau brothers had, making references to not wanting to listen to rock and roll. They prefer Barry Manilow and stuff like that. It's just absolutely superb entrance theme. If anyone's never heard the fabulous Rougeaus entrance music, find it, check it out on YouTube. I imagine you're going to be hearing some now on the audio version, I expect.
This is a job for you, Future Si.
Yes. Try and find the words to it as well, because it is just pure tongue-in-cheek comedy. It's superb. However, the Mountie was involved in some absolutely awful, dire matches and dire gimmicks and dire stipulations. One, for example, the whole prison match with the boss man, the loser goes to prison. I understand that the time was very cartoony and the kids at the time would have loved it. Now, looking back as an adult, it deserves to go in the Hall of Fame for me. I just don't... I'm not a big fan of those kind of wearing your work clothes to wrestle in gimmicks. So the boss man, as much as I love Ray Traylor, the boss man gimmick of him being a prison guard, yeah, not a fan. Nails went in last week. He was wearing his prison gear. Not a fan of. The Mountie, I think the biggest issue with it, and the main reason I want to put the Mountie in, is the whole cattle prod situation. And how comical it was when people would flail around in the ring pretending they're being electrocuted.
Could you imagine putting that gimmick across the ring from 2005 SummerSlam Shawn Michaels, where he oversold things?
He'd zap and he'd go up and hit a light.
It would be the most unbelievable oversell of all time.
I suppose if I'm being really nitpicky, it's the extras that came with the Mountie character that were disposed of by the time he went into the Quebecers.
Yeah.
So a lot of the actual Canadian mounted police references and the cattle prod, I can't get over that. Seeing, I think it might have been Tito Santana pretend to be electrocuted. Sorry? Arriba. Seeing Tito Santana flipping and rolling all over the ring after I'm fairly certain it was him, after he's pretending to be electrocuted, like a dying fish, like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I mean, in 91, I was 10. Even as a kid, I was like, yeah, this is bullshit.
So. Make you feel so much younger now. In 91, I was 7.
There we go.
I feel so much younger now. Thank you, sir.
Mate, honestly, everyone, I think I'm older than everybody we talk to on here. But there we go. Those are our entrants into the Hall of Fame this week. We have Tony Tiny Lister, I think was his name. His nickname was Tiny.
Tom Lister.
Tiny Lister, who was Zeus in the film and at SummerSlam, and I believe again at Survivor Series, maybe. I think he might have stretched to Survivor Series. I'm not sure.
Done, yes. I've tried to avoid that his part of the network.
And not Jacques Rougeau, not the Quebecers, not the fabulous Rougeaus, but the bloody Mountie and that cattle prod, and Jimmy Hart as well. Just fuck off. Basically, you know.
What sort of you have Jimmy Hart? What's wrong with it?
This show, and we'll talk. You know, we'll quickly touch upon it now. I ended up watching quite a bit of this show before watching the Battle Royal. Just sort of skipping through and watching bits and bobs, and there was a lot on there that, in theory, I could have not liked, because there's certain guys who were you know, they have a reputation of being really talented guys in the ring, and there are other guys who maybe have a reputation of not being that way. However, the most annoying aspect of this whole damn show for me was Jimmy Hart. It's just like every time a camera was not on him, he would find a way to get into the next shot. He was, and you couldn't stop hearing his voice. So many, the Mountie, Earthquake, so many of the people in the Nasty Boys, the matches building up to the Battle Royal main event, Jimmy Hart was on the ringside for pretty much all of them. He was just always there, and he drove me mad. For 10 minutes of Jimmy Hart is enough.
To be fair, it was his whole, his corporation thing, wasn't it? Almost, wasn't it?
Yeah. They basically had the all of his stable wrestling on the show, didn't they? But it just got too much for me. I know he's doing his job then because I'm supposed to hate him. He's the heel.
Yeah, if you kick under his skin, he's done exactly what he meant to do. I also understand where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, totally, mate. Totally. It just drives me nuts. Shall we jump across to Twitter and have a little look at what everyone's been sending us in this week?
I hope I get this right. Let's do this.
Yeah, no problem. A little bit of background for everyone on this. I don't do anything on this show. I edit the audio version, I produce the audio version and chuck it out and so on. Okay, I'll come up with stuff like the non-wrestling topic and all this and that sort of side of things. The technical side of things, I don't do nothing. I have no involvement in that whatsoever. The fact that I'm even here now is quite a surprise because I had internet trouble 2 minutes before we started the show.
Yeah, I was running solo.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole thing of when Magsy brings up the Twitter feed, or Matt here today is bringing up the Twitter feed, I'm very much dependent on other people to do this for me. I have no clue whatsoever, and that's why I read the tweets from my phone. I don't. That's the way I do it. And plus, on my laptop, the writing's far too small. I can't make that out. But there we go.
Okay. Right, so read them out, buddy, and I will highlight them for you.
No problem at all. I'll just go through in the order we received them. If you can't find any in particular, mate, don't worry too much. The first response we had very, very quickly when the tweet went out to us, asking the CWF about I don't get it. What don't you get? Is there a certain food people really love that you just don't get? A TV program people don't love that you don't get? We had quite a few people respond with wrestlers they don't quite get. Just what seems popular that you just don't get? Within minutes of putting that tweet out, we had Morty at MortyJR5 on Twitter. 2 words and a very divisive character, Kenny Omega. What are your thoughts on that one, Matt?
Right. Well, as you said at the time, exactly the sort of thing we were looking for. I also have to slightly agree. I don't get the hype.
Okay.
I don't get the hype. Yes, he's great, but let's face it, he was doing the whole belt collector thing. Now he doesn't own any because he had to have surgery. I get that part, but for me, and I'm gonna get hated on this in the chat, I agree with Morty. I don't see what everyone's big fuss about. He's great. He's a great technician, but I'm like, I've seen it all. And you do the same thing on a regular basis. There's nothing new. Okay. I like seeing new stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that.
I don't quite get it. I get where Morty's coming from here, but I also get where people also tell him what the hell are you talking about, man.
I'm a massive Kenny Omega fan. I think the guy is fantastic. I appreciate how other people might not get it though.
Yeah.
It's not like. I mean, I suppose every wrestler has it to a degree, don't they? People who think he's wonderful, people who don't get it. I appreciate that. But Kenny Omega, for me, I think he can do a bit of everything. I think he's very good at a lot of different things. I think sometimes his matches in AEW haven't lived up to when I first discovered him in New Japan. But on the whole, I think Kenny Omega is absolutely fantastic. However, with the flips and some of the other stuff he does, I can fully appreciate how people can not get that aspect. I understand. I mean, for me, I like it. For Charlie, my youngest, and my wife, Sharon, we're Kenny Omega fans, but I can also understand quite easily however people look at it and go, yeah, I don't get that. That's not for me.
It absolutely. I'm being called out, by the way, or in the chat. I've just noticed, by the way. Dan Griffin is Twitter in light mode. What is this heathen behavior? I'm not a lord. Okay, you deal with it.
Okay. See, I've got Twitter in dark mode, but I must confess, this has only happened in the last maybe 2 months. I've made that change.
I have it in dark mode on my phone, but not on my laptop.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
So yeah.
I've literally just got it on my phone in dark mode, but I only made the change like probably about a month or 2 months ago.
Indeed. Dan Griffin's saying he's physically better, but he's got a personality of a dry dog turd.
Okay.
the hairy housewife is saying Jesus agreed with Morty, and Morty's also saying get him mega like Buddy Matthews, but not as good.
But fair enough.
Yes, there are more things in the chat. We will come back to in a moment. After you, sir.
It's funny how Kenny Omega, the Bucks, and all those are so divisive. It really does amuse me. Derek Stark at Derek Stark on Twitter, a good friend of ours there. He says, "How about that new indie promotion? Control Your Narrative. I just don't get it." He says, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about that.
I know it's the one that was being done by EC3 and
yes, okay,
and the man from Braun Strowman. Going into WrestleMania weekend, they had this obviously before it, but they had an event basically where you could control what you're doing, sort of thing. Like basically, like they had all these different control your narrative, but you've got all these rules you've got to follow still,
right.
Which is a hypocritical thing to do, in my opinion. But they wanted someone to come wrestle for them, and EC3 was like, okay, what come along, he will pay you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they said, like, basically paraphrasing massively, like I kind of stuff you lot, my fee would be getting one of your guys vaccinated.
Oh, okay.
Because they basically had a lot of people there who weren't being vaxxed.
Okay, right.
So I forgot who it is. I'm sure the chat will remind me, the CWF will remind me who it was in general. At which point, I'm pretty sure at this point, Scottish Danny and Dan Griffin are probably already Googling to find it out for me. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Somebody you know very, very well, Matt, at Good Bad Wrestle on Twitter, Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast, says here, how many podcasts Matt has or will appear on every time makes me go, I don't get it.
Right, now, I hear what he's saying there. However, given that today he decided to put out a podcast called JGB Sports Podcast on Visual Global Media. So there's another show he's now on, obviously. So he really can't talk.
He's many podcasts of his own.
To be fair, he's only co-host with Jackson.
Okay.
And it's a good listen. You should check it out for sure. They're very
rated,
but it's good fun. But to be fair, I'm on here helping out a friend, Graham. If you want, next time you can do it, sir. You can come with all the bells and whistles. Oh, wait, you can't do that, can you? Throw shade all you want, sir. And as if on cue, Dan Griffin has helped me out here by saying, Mad Kurt, he's referencing his fee being Austin Aries vaccination.
That's brilliant. That is fantastic.
And then throwing three out of 3 or 4 pods. I think you're fine, Mr. Griffin. Not so much nowadays, sir. Not so much. I think I have 5 total, and one of them I share. So,
fair enough. Wow. I mean, I actually put a tweet out over the weekend because I twigged that with the waiting room coming back on Friday, people can listen to something that I'm on every day throughout the working week this week.
Chad from Visual Global Media, and obviously, we're behind D&J. I'm not going to carry on. I'm just going to say quickly. Worked out that as soon as we release our next episode, which comes out, I think tomorrow, we will have gone through 40 hours of content out there to listen to, just of Dungeons and Junkies. So that means that you can give it a whole working week listening to just us.
Amazing.
You could. I wouldn't encourage it necessarily because because you need a break from Dungeons and Dragons.
There we go.
So where are
Millwall Chris at Millwall Chris 1 on Twitter. He says here. Oh, and by the way, Millwall Chris was at the Royal Albert Hall for the event we're covering later. In case anyone's unaware, because he doesn't mention it very often.
Absolutely fantastic. He's also in the chat, by the way, as well, over on Twitch right now. But we'll get to you in a moment, sir.
Okay. Millwall Chris says here, Game of Thrones. It's dragons, midgets, and incest. Don't get it at all. Now, I've not seen Game of Thrones. I wanted to watch it, but then I heard the last season was crap, and it's kind of that thing of, shall I bother or not?
I'm trying to find his one because he's done several, sir. So give me my moment to find his one.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, Midgets, Dragons, and Incest. That sounds like a really terrible metal band, doesn't it?
You say it one more time, but those three again, mate.
Dragons, Midgets, and Incest.
Oh my.
Exactly. Yeah, it's I've never seen it, so I can't pass comment on Game of Thrones. But
I've seen it, and to be fair, I do like it. I mean, of course, I like it. It's basically D&D, but
okay.
it's not for everybody, and it wasn't really for me. I'll be brutally honest. It wasn't really for me. I can't find where he put this.
I do love. I love like what you call a box set or a binge TV series or something like that, where you can literally, you know, the big dramas that come out. Like 24 was huge, and I enjoyed 24.
Yeah,
and Lost I watched years after it finished, and I enjoyed Lost until the ending, obviously, you know. But stuff like I think me and the wife, we end up watching things that have already been out for years. I suppose similar to Dan Griffin, I guess, in that mold. But we watch things that have already been out. So, you know, maybe another decade we'll give Game of Thrones a chance. I don't know. We'll have to see, mate. We'll have to see.
Absolutely. So yeah, that is one he tacked on to the original reply you had, sir. But he's also done another one later on.
Yes, I think I've got that here. We'll come across that shortly, I think. And speaking of Dan Griffin, at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter, he says here, wrestling wise, Toriano. Okay, I know who that is, and yeah, I don't get that either. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Well, we've covered those. I'm a fan. My household is a fan, but I can appreciate how other people are not fans. He said loads of people love them, and he just doesn't get it. No problem. Outside of wrestling, Michael McIntyre's stand-up is fucking garbage. He says here.
I'd like to point out that he's put stand-up in inverted commas.
Yeah, because it's like it's described as stand-up, but yeah, maybe like, you know, doesn't tick all the boxes for Dan there. And also Peaky Blinders, couldn't get into it, but people reckon it's ace. Like, Peaky Blinders is a funny one because I really, really enjoyed it when I first started watching it, and I was a few years behind again, so I got to watch lots of episodes and sort of binge them.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved it. It was awesome, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff for me, and I've not watched the last 2 seasons. Whereas my wife, you know, all of her friends were telling her Peaky Blinders is fantastic. Sharon tried it. I think she did the whole of the first season, maybe. I mean, Sharon will be in the chat, she can let us know. I think she did the whole of the first season and a bit of the second, and just gave up because she was literally forcing herself to watch this program because she thought it was shite.
Chris did that. I've started watching. I love Gordon Ramsay, so we've started watching Hell's Kitchen on Prime.
Okay, yeah.
And he can't stand the way he's ranting in the first season of it. It changes pace a little bit in later seasons, but the first one he's basically like, "That's absolute penne, absolute dog shit." And I'm like, I'm there eating up all of the abuse and everything we've thrown. It's fantastic. We've I'm getting some heat thrown in the chat. This is a deep cut. Can anyone stop staring at Mike Tyson?
Oh yeah, I can see him on there. Yeah. Again, for the benefit of people on the audio version, somebody's tweeted a GIF in, and it's on the screen as me and Matt are talking, and me and Matt are just chatting away, and Mike Tyson's just doing the same thing over and over.
The laughing one.
Yeah.
For context, the reason why Graham would put that in there because I didn't know that was Mike Tyson.
Oh, did you not?
I couldn't have picked Mike Tyson out of a police line up until about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. He's been in quite a few of those as well.
Apparently so. Because they're like, how? No. He's got a face tattoo. Like, last time I remember seeing Mike Tyson was when he was at WrestleMania 14.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what's that, 1998?
Yeah. I've never seen a boxing career. I've never seen him with no hair. This is with a tattoo. How would I know who that was?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, I suppose.
So they're now talking about daring to get tattooed in the chat. We'll get to them in a minute, guys. We will get to you guys. Well, who's next? Who's next, sir?
At UTT Rob, and he brings the chat crashing down to a low here, just by basically bursting all of our bubbles by saying, I think we all need to be honest with ourselves and say that the most unpopular thing that we all love, that others don't, is wrestling.
You can go off someone, can't you?
Yeah, that's a good shite, Matt. That's a good shite.
He's also done another one. up in the thread as well. So we'll dive back and forth between them.
Yeah, he says here, Rob, is next one I've got up on my list here is I don't get Instagram or TikTok. They seem to be for beautiful people and beautiful things, of which I'm neither. Oh, Rob, that's not true, mate. You're a very handsome fellow.
Yeah, and let's face it as well. The UGT brand is a beautiful thing to behold.
Exactly. I do get what he means though with regards to TikTok. I've got a TikTok for the show. Chain Wrestling has a TikTok. Mr. Mags has his own personal TikTok that seems to be doing very well. And we have Steve-O as well, a big, important member of the CWF. He's TikTok crazy. And my kids like TikTok and so on. I again, this could be one for me, I suppose. I don't get it. And it is when you go on TikTok, it just seems like there's just low. To me, it's a way of looking at really pretty ladies on the internet without having to type in a dodgy site.
I wouldn't know.
Well, okay.
I wouldn't know. I don't need to worry about that, do I? Suppose?
No, very true.
Graham's gone back to the start to catch us from the beginning. We're doing it ×2, of course. So who we catch in a moment. But has just noticed we've already gone past your post, Graham. So at this point, when you get to us, we've already done your post. So you'll be hating the chat about 10 minutes time.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Good to have you along, Graham. Thanks a lot, my friend.
And everyone in the chat, of course. We will get to the moment of CWF. We will get you.
We will do. At Millwall Chris again, he says here, I was going to keep it in, but Bianca Belair. I'm sorry, I said it. So he just doesn't.
Right, where's the block button? Where's the block button?
Are you a big fan then, Matt?
Bianca Belair is probably the best of her generation. In terms of, I mean, the reason why she's got the EST gimmick, it's not just a gimmick. Okay, I've never seen any. I mean, they did that assault course for when she was up against Bayley.
Yes.
And yes, it was an obstacle course, which, most athletes could do. But then she also then put Otis on her shoulders and ran the length of the ring with him on her shoulders. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing strength. And, well, I've never seen anyone do the sort of thing that she can do. She put the EST in WrestleMania. She did for me.
I enjoy. I don't watch masses of WWE.
No, however, we're aware.
Yeah, so I do try and watch the pay-per-views, and I will definitely watch the big pay-per-views. But I will watch, I'd say, majority of the pay-per-views throughout the year. I mean, I pay for the network, I may as well. Whenever I see her wrestle, I enjoy it. I think it's good. But I think this goes for a lot of women's wrestling in general, to be honest. It's very, very good, but it's not top draw for me. It doesn't tick all the boxes for me when it comes to that. But I think maybe that's because in WWE they are still there's a WWE way of wrestling, isn't there? And it's very successful for them.
Are you saying, the only thing you want to see is a bra and panties match between Trish Stratus and Jenna Coleman?
Mate, honestly, if that existed, trust me, I would have found it and worn out the tape. Okay. But no, what I'm saying is WWE, there is a certain way of doing things and they're trained that way. And when they bring certain indie wrestlers in, they try and knock some of the indie stuff out of them and a lot of people complain about it. I don't see the massive issue. WWE is the biggest company in the world. They are successful at what they do because they have this particular method. I look at women's wrestling sometimes, and it's not all the time, and it's just a small little nitpick, I think. And I think sometimes they're wrestling that WWE style, but because they're smaller than the men, it doesn't always work out quite how they'd want it to. When they're allowed to wrestle more individually, then yeah, fantastic, absolutely incredible. But then when you see them do things that is very WWE, it's almost like the agents or the people producing the matches don't twig that some of these girls are 150 pounds rather than 350 pounds, and the move doesn't look as impactful as it potentially would with other people doing it. I'm not sure if I'll explain that right, but that's just what
I do get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying there. But I also get the feeling that, because we are talking about Bianca Belair herself here, and with Millwall Chris, I think you're wrong. But at the same time, if you don't get it, that's fine. Okay, I think that if they were to intergender matches, she'd be someone who could win the Intercontinental Championship. I think that we are heading back towards the era of intergender wrestling again.
Okay.
Because I was at CXW week and a half ago. Saw a fantastic intergender triple threat match, and it was brilliant.
So that's the thing. There's a possibility of that because people are doing it on the indies all the time, and there's some fantastic stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem that WWE catches on later than everybody else, though, doesn't it? So maybe we have to wait a while for that.
They've moved away a bit because of the PG era, but it's not a PG era nowadays, is it?
Well, really? No, I suppose. Before we carry on and get into Steve-O's tweets, should we jump into the chat quickly, Matt? Because Steve-O sent us quite a bit, so it seemed like a good place to stop and jump in to see what people are sending us.
I've got to jump up. I jump up a little bit, unfortunately. Okay. Scott is saying Chris was there. Nah. Morty.
No, he was.
Morty for blowing bubbles. Is he? Is Morty a West Ham fan? And then we're getting pretty bubbles in the air. Yeah, West Ham fan in the chat. Clearly. Michael McIntyre is not a comedian. He's a con man.
Yeah.
Ooh. I need to say for lawyers, we are not saying that he is. Dan Griffin is saying he is. Morty thought it was Seal in the GIF.
Oh
dear, brilliant. And Dan Griffin saying if Fitch gets a face tattoo, he'll subscribe to the channel.
There you go then. That's worth it, surely.
This is great. Morty is saying that I made a huge claim regarding the Bianca being the best of her generation. It's my claim. You know, I think she's way better in the ring than Charlotte Flair. That's not saying much. She only got her job because she is a Flair. Ooh. She may have got there, but she got the start because she's a Flair.
I think that's fair. I mean, that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah. You've been told you need to watch Carmel Electra's NWL as mentioned on UTT.
I heard it mentioned on UTT, yes. Maybe I'll have to Google that later on when the wife's asleep.
That's quite saying to the interviewing, apparently. Graham sent his regards regarding Livy.
Thank you.
Bad cop moment, of course. Millwall Chris over on Twitch, he hasn't been banned yet, it's fine. Is saying Morty and Fitch were doing blowing bubbles toward wine milk. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. And Morty's saying long-term storytelling from Morty and Fitch of Dan potentially subscribing to Fitch. This is what we're all about here, for sure. And also, I need to give a few shout-outs to people who we did get to earlier on, of course.
Yeah, sure.
In the chat, I've got to go right to the top. This is with Millwall Chris was saying Zeus man of destruction, can Hogan get to him? I don't think so. That was brilliant. And there's a couple of people who were right at the start. One of them was Conor McCabe in the chat saying afternoon Sire Matt.
Connor, hello my friend.
Indeed. And also Stuart Pearce, referring to Stuart Pearce, we referred to him and your Livy. Stuart Pearce didn't have a high pain threshold, though he's just a psychopath.
Yeah,
accurate.
I can go along with that.
Okay, so that's all come from the chat, sir.
Okie doke, great stuff. To Steve-O then at Total Steve-O on Twitter. He does say a lot of these takes are like he's trying to have a dig at me, and he apologizes. It's just his fault, and it's fine. But he says, firstly, you using the classic "I don't get it." I instantly do the extras gobbler. Is that the name? Gobbler line.
I don't know, but yeah.
I don't get it. Look it up, Si, and edit it into the audio version. I will do, Steve-O. You'll probably be hearing it now, or you will have heard it already. It will happen. However, onto the topic in hand, Steve-O says, I don't get how people can just endlessly be in their phones, scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. See, there we go. Now, earlier on, I was saying that Steve-O does TikTok. He's quite good at it. But obviously, he sees the same frustrations as me, I suppose. It says it's just the same old shite. And like with Twitter, whereas there's some form of use, i.e. interacting. Only my opinion, and I know you'll hate this, Si, but I can't see how anyone liked WCW. Oh my goodness. I just can't watch it, even when recommended by you guys. Why? That's a big...
I will point out that on TikTok, you actually can interact because you can do the duet things on there.
Okay.
So you can actually arguably do more interactively on there than you can on Twitter. Arguably.
Okay.
Eventually.
That's all way over my head, mate.
Especially Elon Musk taking like only about a sixth of Twitter he owns now, something like that. So, given that, soon we're going to leave Elon Musk to Twitter, and we're going to take over TikTok. Be fine.
Right, fair enough.
And WCW, to an extent, was great. And then, yeah, we know what happened.
I don't need to, explain my adoration for WCW.
David Arquette. David Arquette.
Wow, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. There's some fantastic WCW. Even when WCW was in its ropiest time, there'd be the odd pay-per-view that was just absolutely unreal. But we're going to find out a lot about that on Nitro Nights. Look at that. What a segue. What a plug. Eh?
It's got his Danny down there talking about Nitro Nights saying scolding hot take.
Yeah, it is, Danny.
Could be the hottest take ever done on Chain Wrestling.
Oh, I don't know. There's something else coming up.
And Morty's coming to a defense here by saying, Steve-O, bloody watch Spring Stampede 94 as covered by Bang Bang Podcast and tell me you don't like WCW. Good God.
There was a lot of good in WCW, literally in the months right before Hogan turned up. There were certain pay-per-views that were turned up. Yeah, and then Hogan brought in his mates. And I don't get me wrong, I love Jim Duggan, but my God, Duggan, the Boss Man, all these people coming in, we'll come to that.
We'll come to them later on as well, of course.
Yes, we will. Steve-O continues. I'm not sure if I want to be honest. Steve-O continues. 80s / early 90s wrestling. Once again, I can't stand it, yet people love it.
You're gonna love today's wrestling topic, aren't you?
I'm getting a headache. 80s wrestling, all 80s wrestling. It must be referencing all 80s wrestling.
Apparently.
So like the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions in 1989, potentially the greatest year of professional wrestling. Potentially.
Yeah, not year.
Mate, it happens. When I get passionate, my accent comes in even stronger.
You need some. You're right.
Yeah. Steve-O continues again. People liking the American Office. This, and he says in brackets here, this all seems a tax on you.
I'm with him on this one. I'm with him on this one because it's terrible. It's terrible because because it ran for 9 seasons.
Yeah.
Right. Ran for 9 seasons. It ran for 2 in the UK. And Morty's saying, "Oh my God, I'm out." It stopped on 2 seasons because it was enough. It was enough. It wasn't. It was the right amount. It wrapped up all the storylines and this, that, and that. But the problem I have with it is that in America, they went to people's houses. I'm like, that's not The Office.
Yeah, fair point.
It's meant to be an office mockumentary.
Yeah.
Why are you in someone's house? I forgive you for the quiz night in the pub in season 2 in the UK always because that's a work event. Unless you are banging a secretary, what are you doing at home?
See now,
I've heard it. My personal opinion is Ricky Gervais did the right thing and then became the executive producer of One America. So he basically got all the royalties off it and had to do fuck all for it.
Well, he was asked a question, wasn't he, recently?
Yeah.
Which version of The Office is your favourite? And Ricky Gervais's response was, my favourite is the English Office, but my accountant tells me it should be the American Office, which I feel was a great comment. Me, personally, the American Office, I hated it when I first watched it, but it's one of those shows that's grown on me. Now, I love the English Office. I really do. Absolutely love it. When you watch the American Office, there's quite a bit in the first series that borrows from the English, and it doesn't quite work because I'm comparing it to the English Office then, obviously. When you get into when you get into season 2 and so on, and the characters get more of their own storylines and so on, I try and look at it then as a separate show, and I can really enjoy it then. The last 2 seasons, though, it ain't. No, it's dreadful. It's all the ending of it went on too long. When Michael Scott left, that's when it should have finished. The last 2 seasons was woeful.
Well, I quite enjoyed it. They had 2 without him.
Yeah, they carried on tight.
I'm going what people. I've gone for the Cliff Notes. I had no idea. So that's terrible. That's the case. Millwall Chris, we back into it. He's defending Flair and Steamboat 3 times 89. How can you not love it? Graham's been reading the things clearly that's been coming up. We haven't got to the cucumber sandwiches thing yet. We're going to get to that in a minute. But cucumber and hamster sandwiches, and Graham's reading things too quickly. Before you don't do ×2, Graham. And apparently advocate of a list, guys at Bell End. Even when he says stuff I agree with, apparently.
Yeah, I think, obviously not in an athletic sense, but I think Ricky Gervais is very similar to Kenny Omega. He's incredibly dividing. People either think he's wonderful and funny, or they can't stand him.
Agreed. And Conor McCabe actually slams the entire franchise down, saying both Office shows suck.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, if it's a case of watching those or being forced to watch Everton versus Manchester United, it's off the Goodison Park we go. Genuinely say that.
That was not a good time.
UK one should never been aired. Ricky Gervais is a total wombat. There's a lot of hate for the UK office in here. And Graham's coming from me with JGB. He's caught up, I say. MGB this week. 2 on the week. 2 on the week, Matt, for the record. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough.
Okay.
We've got more.
Well, now we know. Now we know.
We've got more from Steve, I believe, haven't we?
We have indeed. Steve says here, yes, it seems like all attacks on you, Si. No worries, Steve. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, mate. It's good that we can have these conversations and not fall out like half of Twitter. Oh, God, people that legit love social media influencers kill me. Can't get my head around it. Yeah, I'm on board with that as well.
Don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Maybe it's an age thing, because my youngest daughter watches loads of YouTubers, and they're gaming and they're doing makeup and they're this, maybe not at the same time, but
that'd be impressive.
Yeah, it would. But I'd watch that. I'd give that a go. But yeah, she loves it. Maybe it's an age thing. Maybe it's just not for me. I don't know. Well,
the weird thing is that I've spent a lot of time watching. I'm going to plug it outside Xbox. Amazing group of YouTubers who do gaming, but they got me through some tough times, so I can relate to that. And especially when I haven't really, like, before I met Chris, before me and Graham started doing the podcasting thing, before I met Mags or any of you wonderful people, I was a real low air, and that was outside the box. Got me through it. Didn't he? Like having someone to talk to, you obviously talk in the chat sort of thing, and it's just nice moments. And so much sorry for that. When I haven't had a chance to meet them yet, but I hope to meet them at EGX someday and actually just say thank you properly to them, because they were there for me when I need them, sort of thing. And that's what that's really hopefully we by extension can do the same for someone else out there. Just take their mind off stuff. Because what we've done through the whole pandemic. So welcome to the CWF in the chat. If you're new to the chat, welcome.
Exactly.
There you go.
Steve continues here.
He is still going, isn't he? He's still going.
And he says, Dan Griffin will like this one. Alan Partridge, I don't see what the fuss is about. I quite like Alan Partridge, to be fair.
Yeah, I've clicked one button there, sorry.
I quite like Alan Partridge, to be fair. He does make me laugh, but in small doses. I can watch a couple of episodes and I have to stop because he does great on me after a while. But yeah, there are certain moments that are funny, to me anyway. And Steve-O says, oh God, I don't get how retail makes simple jobs so complicated. I just don't get that. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Oh, one more. I don't get, oh my goodness, Steve-O, you're going to get people really upset. I don't get the Mick Foley hype. I honestly can't stand him. Okay. That's interesting. Again, though, it's everyone's opinions.
Yeah, that's an odd one for me. Mick Foley, salt of the earth. Mick Foley, what's wrong with him?
So now we could combine two things that Steve-O's unsure of here.
Yes.
If you look at Mick Foley in WCW in 92, 93, working with Vader and all that sort of stuff, that is brutal, really intense brawling and some great stuff there. And the things that Foley was doing, jumping off the ring onto no mats and all sorts of stuff. Brawls with Sullivan and the Nasty Boys and so on. they're worth checking out because they are wild.
Indeed. Dan Griffin in the chat is saying that Steve could fuck off.
No. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome.
Morty
even
is
if
saying
he doesn't like WCW.
Morty's saying there's a C-flat that does his amazing, annoying car detailing reviews on YouTube. He looks like a homeless Rufus Hound.
Brilliant.
And Millwall Chris sharing the love. As the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh, Chris, thank you, my friend.
The only thing about this, I love this about it, is that people say, "Oh, Bruce Forsyth is the best thing since sliced bread," which was factually inaccurate because he was born 4 years before sliced bread was invented.
Well,
so sliced bread was the best thing since Bruce Forsyth.
There we go. So, in a way, the CWF is the best thing since Bruce Forsyth. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely.
That's a t-shirt now, isn't it?
You're my favourite. Absolutely.
No, I really appreciate that, Chris. And to be honest, there's a few other people as well. I'm not going to run through loads of names because we're already pushing an hour tonight. But I've had messages, DMs, tweets, and even a couple of WhatsApp messages over the last month or so with people saying how much they enjoy the show, and also people saying that they've had some times where they want, like you said, Matt, they wanted their minds took off certain issues in their life, and joining in on a Monday night with us in the chat, the CWF has made it for them. So I'm over the moon with that. I really appreciate it. The feedback makes it all worthwhile. And I'll mention Steve-O here, actually. Steve-O said that he loves the audio version when I add the music and the sound effects and all that later in the week and stuff like that. Thank you so much for letting us know, because it really means a great deal.
Yeah,
it means to me it's worth me doing if people are enjoying it.
I always in the chat for this one. I always listen to it during the week. It pops up on a Wednesday. I listen to it during the working day on Wednesday.
Oh, brilliant!
It's lovely to pass the time.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
I'll be baking a cake or something, and it's just nice having me here. So
yeah, that's awesome. No, cheers, man. I appreciate that.
And the hairy housewife is saying, "I'm that Rufus Hound looking mofo that cleans cars." Yeah, we will try to be subtle. And Scottish Danny saying CWF for life.
Yeah, great stuff.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Speaking of Scottish Danny, any credits and well wishes he gets with that CWF for life comment there, I kind of then get I suppose get outweighed by his "I don't get it" take here. He says Jaffa cakes. How can you not like a Jaffa cake?
Well, if you're weird.
Oh, I love them all, mate. They got a blackcurrant one they had a raspberry one, didn't they? Was there a lime one as well for a bit? Oh, Jaffa cakes, mate. I'm all about that.
The lime ones are ridiculous. And at Christmas, you can get a whole yard of them.
Yes.
You get a yard of Jaffa cakes at Christmas. You only get them at Christmas time. But yes, you get them. And I remember the arguments that have been had in the CW chat over this in the past about is Jaffa cake a cake or a biscuit, and it was classified as a cake to avoid tax. It was officially a cake to avoid tax. Also, you can't dunk it.
You can't. I don't dunk with biscuits anyway. I don't dunk with biscuits anyway.
Well, we'll put you into timeout inside, shall we? Or...
No, I never have. I've never dunked with biscuits.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the chat's agreeing. Bill Chris is saying, "Love a Jaffa cake. It's not a biscuit. Still not a biscuit." Morty, and it's made of cake. Exactly. So I am Matt, opposition to Biscuit Vision, which was 6 of the people spending hours destroying Jaffa cakes. Just one was eating them. I'm guessing not. I didn't get a sodding invite. I didn't have protest.
See, I was going to mention that actually, the biscuit show that they did, Morty and so on. And just
it was a good show. It was a great show. A great show. I can't wait to do another something vision. Be great.
Millwall Chris, we have another from him coming in here at Millwall Chris 1 on Twitter. He says, "My biggest bugbear is when people bang on and on and on about being at an event and bring it up all the time. What sort of a person does that?" I wonder, mate. I wonder.
Awkward moment. Moment. I think I must have banged on for 2 years after being at WrestleMania 35 to anyone who will listen to me.
Oh, mate, if I got to a WrestleMania, I'd still be talking about it now.
Oh, I can do, but unfortunately, we will off the air at some point in the next hour or so. But I could talk about Disney till the cows come home. I had so many special moments there. If you get a chance to go to Disney, guys, do it. Because even like the rides and stuff, it's Epcot or Animal Kingdom.
Fair enough.
There's other stuff. You haven't got to go to the big fry. There's other stuff you can do. They can go to the gardening festival. You can go to the food festival. You can go to the the Animal Kingdom and you can spend days on the Animal Kingdom and not see it all. So
yeah, fair enough. We have at 80s and 90s wrestling, Ja or JA, I suppose is Ja.
James, yes.
Says yeah. And we've got a little bit of a list. So I'm probably gonna just run through them, and what we'll do, Matt, as I
go through them one by one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go through them one by one. I'll run through them, and then you just give me a yes or no. Okay. Formula One.
Fuck off.
Star Wars.
I can see why you wouldn't like it, but yeah, it's your choice.
Ed Sheeran.
Mitzvah, don't blame you.
Doink the Clown. Heel Doink was good.
The evil clown was good.
Yeah. Danhausen.
Out.
Really? See, he makes me laugh. If
you don't get him, out.
I see. I thought you were kicking him out because
No, Dan great.
Yeah, he makes me laugh. Again, though, that's Charlie's influence. Charlie thinks he's funny, so it rubs off on me, I guess. Mac and cheese.
What's wrong with a good mac and cheese? If you had a bad one, I could put off for life. You know, it's tin mac and cheese. They're not good at all. If you had that would put you off. Yeah.
See, Charlie, again, I keep bringing her up. She's going to be the star of this week's show, isn't she? Charlie there's certain things that she absolutely adores food-wise, and mac and cheese is one of her favourites. And she has tried loads of different types, so we'll just grab them when we're out and about. You know, whether it is out of a tin or a ready meal or anything like that. Sharon makes it as well, but it's just like the convenience of, when Liv's at football or whatever, I can chuck it in the micro and so on.
Yeah.
The £1 one from Iceland.
Yeah.
Charlie is adamant is the best mac and cheese ever. And we've got like a mountain of them in the freezer because she loves it so much.
She needs to try my mac and cheese.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pass that message on. She'll probably, when she's old enough to our Twitter, she'll message her and get you sent some.
I'll send you the recipe and you can make it for us. Right?
Oh, that already sounds too complicated.
I need to just briefly stop for a moment because Graham has just popped this into the chat. The smell my cheese, you mother GIF, which was 40 times 2, obviously, and it's the one with I'll just quickly find it because it's kind of funny. It was in here. Thanks to the amazing people talking about Alan Partridge. It's this one.
Smell my cheese.
Yeah, it's that. So to do it again for Graham at times 2. I'm not even sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. See, that era of Partridge makes me laugh.
Aha!
That's funny. Yeah, exactly. Nando's. J.A. finally says Nando's.
Nando's is, if you don't like chicken, you're not like Nando's.
Mm.
So it's an acquired taste. People are like, well, why are we doing vegan stuff at Nando's? Because sometimes there's someone in a party who wants to treat you, for example, and they don't like it themselves.
See, I've only been to Nando's once, and I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't eat or that sort of stuff a lot anyway. But I had Nando's once, and I thought it was fantastic. So, yeah, there we go. We then have a tweet here from Millwall Chris sticking up for things that Steve-O has disagreed on. He says, I'm sorry, Steve-O needs to be kicked out of the group. Not liking 80s and 90s wrestling or WCW is treason. But then I agree with him on the American Office. And Steve-O says the NWOs are pile of shite. Oh my God. Steve-O, you're breaking my heart, mate. You're really genuinely hurting my feelings now. Morty here. Morty JR5 on Twitter.
Yes.
TikTok, another shout out for that. Yeah, okay. I think we can all appreciate that, we don't get TikTok. Mickey Flanagan. Now that's a bit of a hot take because I enjoy Mickey Flanagan.
I could take him or leave him. If he's on the bill, I'd watch him, but I wouldn't go and buy a ticket just to see him.
Okay, but I liked him on like the panel show he was on. What was that?
Mock the Week.
Mock the Week he was on for a while, wasn't he?
He was on it for a while, but so was Howard. Howard's funny.
Okay. Okay. Another shout for Game of Thrones. Yeah, no problem with that one at all. Jamie Oliver.
Yep. And
Fitch. I'm on board. And Fitch. I don't know.
I just said Fitch. Yeah.
Fitch seems all right to me. I don't know.
I've just
William
noticed, by the
Kitchen.
way. That Graham's gonna get psyched out by the times 2 on this as well now. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
Mickey Flanagan shuffling away on screen. Yeah,
I love it. That shuffling more like speed walking for the Olympics. Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
William Kitchen at the Appliance 180. He says here the TV series Friends utter shite in my view. Now, my parents don't like Friends, but me and my sister loved it and still do. My wife loved it when it was. To me, it's a program that's been on TV too much, like Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory, I don't get, but it's just on all the time. So it kind of, I suppose, ingrains itself into your mind, doesn't it? You know.
To be fair, I was watching a bit of Friends this morning. To be fair, so it's something I can dip in and out. Oh, I've seen them all. Obviously, I would, and bear in mind, anyone saying at this point, spoilers. It's been done for nearly 20 years now, right? It's okay, it's not a spoiler at this point, all right? The fact of like take the Emily, take the Rachel moment. So it's the big shocks and all those sorts of things. And they're all great. And I've got to admit, big wussy that I am. Did she get off the plane?
Yeah.
I got off the plane. Whoosh, it is.
See the episode where Chandler and Monica get engaged.
Yeah.
Honestly, I put that on, and Sharon is crying before the end of the music, before anything's actually happened yet, because she just knows what's coming.
Because you know that as far as Chandler knows, Monica's left him. And he hasn't. She hasn't. She's waiting for him inside the apartment.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And totally get that. Graham in the chat is annoying me. I'm going to cut a minute. Morty in the chat is saying Matt would watch Mickey Flanagan if he's on the bill. To be fair, if he's on the bill, I've got to sit through and get someone better. Then I'll sit. I wouldn't pay to watch him on his own, but he's on the bill. He's fine.
I think he means on the bill, as in the cop show.
Oh no, on the bill of service, like a better term. That's like a funeral, doesn't it? We'll move on. Dan Griffin says Ross from Friends is one of the biggest tracks going. Absolutely.
100%.
And Gray is now whinging. Can you guys speak quicker? I'm back to times 1. It's just too slow. Sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah, I think I'm talking quite quickly myself anyway. So this is me at top speed, mate.
This is, but the problem is because we're live, you see, he can't go at times 2. So, and Millwall Chris is saying, your grandmother used to say, if ever like the same thing, that all have fancied your grandfather. That's a disturbing image.
There we go. Fitch at Daddy and Alfred on Twitter.
Yes, I did, Graham. We're going to get back to that in a moment. Before, I say rudely cut you off, Si.
No worries. At Daddy and Alfred on Twitter. Fitch, cucumber sandwiches and hamsters. I don't get how you can just cucumber sandwiches. I can understand how you can not get that. I don't get how you can not get hamsters.
Vermin, fuck them.
Okay, there we go.
Set them on fire. Kick them out the window.
Oh, mate, that's a bit.
In fact, somebody who used to be a friend of mine used to have this wonderful white hamster. I forget. I think he called it Buffy.
Is this going to be a sad story, Matt?
He threw it out of the 2nd story window.
Oh, why? Why?
She survived.
Why? Fair play, Buffy.
Yeah, she survived intact. No problem at all.
Huh. Well, obviously, slight problem. She's probably got some rejection issues now. She's been launched out the 2nd window, you
know. Indeed. Oh, the chat is. Did you see Wiki feedback? Yes, I did, Graham. I'll take a piss. Dagger is saying, why is Matt encouraging people to fuck hamsters? I'm a doctor. That's why. And Millwall Chris is saying, like Graham made mistake earlier, cucumber and hamster sandwiches.
Nice. Gotta be grilled hamster, though, I find. If you fry them, they get too fatty. Connor Knows Soccer, at Connor Knows on Twitter. He says here, rugby.
I'm sorry, your good wife, I'm afraid, it just called to my attention. I just read it.
Timing there, look, Sharon in the chat. Wow, I don't pay attention for a bit, and I come back to Matt telling people to fuck off.
And guinea pig is definitely a delicacy in Peru. Apparently, I'm sat in my living room and the fucking thing hasn't stopped running for the last hour on his pissing, squeaking wheel.
Oh, yeah, I get that then.
My wife made me buy him. She conned me out of it when I had COVID.
No, I can appreciate that. The wheels, when they're going for a long time, especially in the evenings, can drive you mad, can't they?
Matt and a picture of bees, Si, about an animal being thrown. Indeed, you don't like bees, do you, Si?
No, I do like bees. I didn't like the Fergal tramps who killed a bee in the bus station. They pissed me off.
I'm a bit now. I was listening to it last week, and I remember you being absolutely pony about it.
Oh, yeah. They've got like 3 teeth between the 5 of them and shit like that. They're scumbags, mate.
Yeah, and Graham saying cucumber sandwich hamsters could be. I think you got excited there, Graham. You got it right. Cucumber and sandwich hamsters.
That's a special breed. That's a special breed of hamster made just for sandwiches.
Absolutely, I liking this. It's all marketing stuff you can do here. So it's all marketing.
It's business ideas. Last couple we have.
I'm so sorry. Sorry, we're getting distracted on the chat.
It's fine. Connor Knows Soccer on Twitter. He says, rugby. I really enjoy watching it. I just don't understand. Okay.
Don't worry, Connor. We feel the same about American football.
See, that's interesting you mentioned that because Sharon is NFL crazy now. And she's always had like a passing interest. But this past season...
Is she a Bengals guy, is she?
No, Dallas Cowboys.
I think... is that better or worse? I'm not sure.
She watched NFL this season, but she decided I'm going to properly watch it. I'm going to properly get into it. And she watched every game that was on Sky, not just the Cowboys games. Sunday, NFL was on. And for a while, it was that situation of, I don't quite get it, but I'm enjoying it. But now she gets it. And I love it. I love the fact that, I'm not a massive fan, but I'll watch the odd bit of her. I love the fact that Sharon's got a sport that she sits and watches. It's fantastic.
See, the problem is that I've watched it at Wembley Stadium. And
yes.
Watching it live, way better than watching on TV. You can not wait for a break every 5 seconds because when it does stop, you can see them all getting things organised.
Yeah.
You can see the people twerking on pogo sticks and all that stuff around the outside. It's ridiculous, absolutely fantastic. But rugby, I don't get it because you just like Michael Carrick just passing to the side all the time. That's all you're doing.
Don't start like that about Michael Carrick. We ain't got enough time for me to go.
He's a crab. He passes sideways all the time.
Oh, mate. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, sandwich hamsters are bred to be flatter and exactly the same size as a slice of bread.
Oh, like those square sausages you get.
Absolutely. And Graham is now starting something going now because the great piece of sandwich cut with animal-shaped biscuit cutters. NFL's getting a lot of love here.
Yeah.
Chat and Cowboy Toy Die here. Speaking of bees, did you see what Steve did with those bees on the latest Jackass film? Why was Steve featured?
I've not seen the latest Jackass film.
I haven't seen it yet, Graham. Because I'm 37. I'm not 12.
See, I like Jackass, mate.
But you've got the minor 12-year-old, so that's fine.
Yeah, totally. I mean, when Liv came home from the hospital on her crutches, the first thing I did was sit down, grab a crutch, and she sat in the other armchair, and we realised that because obviously she can't move around now, so we can't scrap and stuff, but we can sword fight with her crutches from one seat to the other. So, and that was literally the first thing we did. And Sharon was just like, "You two are unbelievable." But I was genuinely excited.
You are absolutely unbelievable for sure. And we seem to have some like for like flirting going on between Morty and your wife here. Sharon like Adam Page as well. At Morty, I meant Dallas, but Adam Page the Cowboy. I definitely go on. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's not a hidden fact. It's not a hidden fact. Trust me.
Yeah, no, we're aware. We're aware. What would happen if you and Sharon having a mixed tag match with Adam Page and Trish Stratus on the end?
Well, it wouldn't be fit to be aired on television. It'd have to be pay-per-view, but
absolutely. Graham loving the Dallas Cowboys have a rating shown on their helmet.
Oh dear.
That's a low blow, Graham, I believe. Dolphins fan that you are. Accurate assessment aside, mental age. We love a 5 minutes at a penis joke yesterday.
Yeah, well, the recording for the Doctor Who pod this week comes out tonight, midnight, I suppose. So Tuesday, the official release day. You got to listen to after the show. I cut this bit out of the show, but I tagged it on the end for people who would be interested in listening. it's just a willy joke, and we giggle like a pair of children for like. I think I clocked it at 3.5 minutes, genuinely, that we just couldn't stop laughing, and I had to cut it out of the show because it got to the point where it was literally disrupting what we were doing.
Indeed.
Dan had to turn his camera off because every time
Wow.
I looked up and we saw each other, we'd start laughing again. We just couldn't get anything done. So, yeah.
Neil and Chris would pay to see you versus Stratus.
I'd pay to see me versus Stratus, yeah.
I'm not sure the lawyers can do that, unfortunately. Any more? So is that all?
We have one more. A good friend of the show at Handy T1TF. Brilliant fella. Has supported chain wrestling, the SJP show I used to do, all sorts of stuff since the very, very beginning. He says he doesn't get buffalo wings.
What? What's not to get about buffalo wings?
Well, I'm going to ask a question now that might get a similar squeaky voice from you there, Matt. I don't. What is a buffalo wing? What's it on about?
It's a chicken wing covered in buffalo sauce.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I like chicken wings.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's what it is. A chicken wing covered in buffalo sauce. That's all it is.
Okay. So what's buffalo sauce?
I've got to admit, I've never made it.
Okay.
I've never made it, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, if it's chicken, I'll eat it. I love chicken.
Oh, who doesn't like chicken?
There you go. There we go. So there we are. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending in.
Graham's telling you they are growth, but very popular in America. I agree with this take.
Okay, fair enough. And that's interesting as well, because Handy is from the States. So it's interesting that people from the States are messaging and saying, yeah, they're grim. So, okay, fair enough.
Sauce is just a hot sauce, apparently. And Milk was saying, I didn't eat wings at all. You've got Dan Griffin offering you a favour. He can DM Trish for if you like.
Yeah, he takes great pleasure in, reminding me that Trish Stratus follows him on Twitter. The only way that could be any worse is if Jenna Coleman followed him as well.
Indeed. And Sharon says it'd be the quickest match ever. Morty, the last thing for before we dive, we're going to dive into the other stuff. Mine and Fitch show is just purely just us laughing. If we cut it, we would have no show.
Yes, very true. I was listening to one this morning, actually. What was I listening to this morning? Because I'm behind on so many. So I listened to a couple and I listened to something new and I go back and I listened to them this morning. And honestly, you guys, you crack me up. It's great stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, thank you so much to everybody who has tweeted in, who has been in the chat and so on, talking about I don't get it. We've had some great subjects there, and quite a few I agree with. Some I do not. Some I think are shocking takes, Steve-O. Love you, mate. Bloody hell. Yeah, so I suppose that concludes the non-wrestling topic, Matt. Shall we get into a bit of wrestling?
Ooh.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Lovely stuff. Okay. The winner of the poll this week was the Battle Royal at the Albert Hall. The match itself, not the actual event. As everyone knows, with chain wrestling, we only look at one match a week.
This is why I wasn't sure. I'm going to make sure when I was doing this. I was like, am I doing the whole event? Or
See, I say that. I say we only look at one match a week. Maxie quite often bends the rules to suit his own narrative. He's quite naughty like that. But there we go. The Battle Royal at the Albert Hall, first broadcast in October 1991, apparently on a Thursday night, Matt, which seems a funny one for me.
It was. Other thing about this, of course, this is how long ago it was. This was shown on Sky Sports Box.
Sky Movie Plus also carried it.
Sky Movie
Yes.
Box. Sky Movie Box Office, not Sky Sports. When I think about it, of course, I'm thinking about that, of course. And it was sponsored by that wonderful, credible source of information, the Daily Star.
The Daily Star. The Daily Star in 1991. Oh, imagine what the headlines would have been on there. Yeah, Sky Movies Plus was something else as well, wasn't it, that they showed it on?
Yeah. Not sure what, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, straight away the show for me, it seems a little odd at the time because Hogan was your world champion and he's not there on an event that they're filming and they've made a big deal of from abroad. I appreciate it's a European tour. Hogan didn't always do the European tours. I get that. But straight away, I'm thinking, okay, where's your champion on a tour abroad? It wouldn't really happen now. Well, I suppose Lesnar doesn't always go to these European tours if he's champion, but yet he'll still go out to Saudi Arabia and so on. So it seemed odd that Hogan wasn't on the European tour at all. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
It gets brought up later on, of course. Yes.
Yeah. There's about 5,000 people in attendance, apparently, which is, for a WWE show, especially in 91, a fairly decent attendance for a non-pay-per-view, it's effectively a glorified house show, this event. And it's a 5,000 attendance, and I'll tell you what, they don't have to make some noise, Matt, don't they?
It's designed to because obviously normally when you got like an orchestra or something in, they're designed to reverberate the sound.
Yes.
Designed for that purpose. So it was a perfect arena for it. Why wrestling hasn't been back there properly in a long time, I will have no idea. I mean, where have it been? I would like little smaller show for that. My sister's been to every Harry Potter film that's been shown there. Yes, film, because they also have the orchestra there playing all the music at the same time with the film was being shown, and it's phenomenal apparently. So it's fantastic for sound. So the crowd were hot during this. They were loving it. And of course, the reason why it wasn't Lady Star, as it said in the chat, you could only get your tickets through a ballot in the Star. You couldn't buy them. Yeah,
Millwall Chris. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you, Millwall Chris. That's brilliant. You can only get tickets through the ballot in the Daily Star newspaper. You couldn't buy them. Man, could you imagine that? A gang of you wanting to get tickets, and some of your mates get them, some of you don't. Bloody hell!
Can you imagine WrestleMania being held in the United Kingdom, and you could only get tickets through the Sun? No one would fucking buy them.
Well, I don't know about that. It would still sell out.
It would, unfortunately. There are a lot of degenerates, but
yeah, there we go. I like the place as well. It's beautiful. When you're watching the matches and you're watching the main event and so on. Everyone knows what a wrestling arena looks like. Of course they do. But this here is not a wrestling arena. This is a place that is holding a wrestling show, and the differences are quite apparent all over the place with the balconies, the archways, the steps, the curtains everywhere, and I think it looks fantastic, Matt.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. We've never seen anything in America on this sort of grander scale, really, have we? I mean, the closest in recent times is when NXT UK held an event at the Blackpool Ballroom.
Yeah, that looked really good as well, didn't it?
Yeah,
that looked great. Yeah, I like those sort of things where it's done a bit different. Now, I suppose it goes back to pay-per-view sets as well. When the pay-per-view sets had a stage, had a different,
like the King of the Ring chair.
Sorry.
Like the big King of the Ring chair they have.
Yeah, like a different presentation sort of thing for each one, and
the gravestone for Judgment Day, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and the sort of swinging hooks and
for backlash. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
we're on the same page here. Having a big S for SummerSlam.
Yes, yeah, I love all that sort of stuff. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, you're not.
It's all so generic now. But this show, this feels like a big deal watching it back. But it probably feels like a bigger deal than it actually was, I suppose, because nothing really of I suppose importance happens on this show. There's no title changes. The Bulldog wins a battle royal, and it's an entertaining show.
Yeah,
but it's not. It feels more important than it actually is, I guess. Maybe that's the setting. I'm not sure.
Definitely. Also, the fact of, even from the top of the bear in mind, you've got everyone wrestling on the card twice. It feels like which is fine because
it's a very old-fashioned way of doing things as well, isn't it? A lot of house shows and especially UK shows were that way.
A lot of indie shows do it this way, of course. Over here, I've been to the LGN wrestling. I've been to see CXW, of course. Both times they had battle royals or Royal Rumble matches, and everyone in those matches competed on the card at extra hour points as well. So it's not unheard of, and to be fair, it's not encouraged.
We saw a company called Welsh Wrestling at Treco Bay when we went on holiday there, and I love Treco Bay. It's a lovely little place, and we've been there a couple of years, and we didn't twig that they actually had a wrestling show on every Monday afternoon. in like their showdome sort of little bar bit.
Oh, wonderful.
So we went along, and first of all, it was good. It was a decent show, but they only had maybe 6 wrestlers. So you had a one-on-one match, a tag match, another one-on-one match, and then another tag match with just variants of the same guys all the time. So they put on a whole show of just like 6 wrestlers. And then they had the troopers, they called them. So I suppose it's like is it redcoats?
Yeah,
it's similar to that, but they call them the troopers. They would stand on the stage with a microphone, encouraging the kids to chant for the wrestlers. And that made me, it's so annoying hearing them just chanting over and over and over into their microphone.
Into the microphone, I get what you mean on that sort of thing, but there's always they actually do have, because it happens all the time at the indie shows in the UK. There is always someone in the crowd whose job it is to get the crowd going, sort of thing.
I can appreciate that. Yeah,
but to be fair, there's always somebody in the crowd who's doing that, even if they're not being paid to. Because you do have had half a bottle of whiskey usually in the old days. They'd be more happy to do that. And to be fair, the crowd were well behaved, but hot for this. They were really up for this.
Yeah, and I suppose we'll come to the intros now. I like this because everyone got an individual entrance.
They got
with their music, and introduced to the crowd. Even though they'd all been out once already, they got the introduction to the crowd and so on.
They made it a big deal.
Yeah, and that made it feel important, didn't it?
I did have problems with it though before we get to the intros. One thing they had, first of all, the country Monsoon, and obviously Heenan, phenomenal. But they also had Alfred Hayes.
They did, yes.
Fantastic. That's great. It's then the announcer who announced this following contest is scheduled for 1 fall.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can a battle royal be scheduled for 1 fall?
Yeah.
I'm like, I missed something here. I skipped too far in the network. No, I was fine.
I mean, to be honest, that's not the worst thing that guy ever did. He was wrapped up in some really dodgy stuff.
I will take your word for that. I did not Google him.
If I've got this guy right, which I'm fairly certain I have, he was involved in grooming of young boys.
We will leave him out of the equation.
Not a good look, mate. Not a good look.
He's not the thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, and apparently he wasn't convicted because, and this has come out quite recently, he wasn't convicted because the FBI basically said to him, we'll let you off on that if you testify against Vince in the steroid trial. This is what's sort of coming out more recently, but again, the details I'm a bit foggy on. I've not read up on it, but that's kind of the gist I'm getting at the moment.
Well,
so
to avoid any legal ramifications, we'll move on.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
Okay, we'll talk about entrances, of course.
Yes, so the Legion of Doom, the Bulldog, all the guys you'd expect to get a big pop. Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. Obviously, at this early stage in his career, seeing the Undertaker work as a heel and be booed, that was fascinating to me.
It was also weird because I'm used to hearing a much deeper music. I'm used to seeing the smoke and I'm used to seeing the hat, the cloak, and almost hovering. It feels like down it. He just walking through like a normal man. It was like, you're not the Undertaker I know and love.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's a year he'd been in the company at this stage.
Not even that. I don't think. No, I think this. Well, maybe get on for that, but not far off it. No,
11 months. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird how many legends are in this match. How many people in this you think legit? I think any one of these people, in theory, if we weren't in the UK, could have won this match. We all knew who's going to win it going into it, of course. Yes. Of course, between the Rockers and the Barbarian entering, of course, you've got Brain complaining that Hogan's not there. Quote, too busy making movies. Too scared to face Flair.
Yeah, brilliant.
Which actually is actually in context a bit of a meta joke because, of course, it never happened, did it? At WrestleMania. Happened on Monday Night Raw, but never happened on WrestleMania. We should have done.
Well, yeah, apparently it was supposed to be WrestleMania 8, wasn't it? That this was going to be the main event.
It was,
but the house shows drew very, very poorly, so they changed their mind and they switched it all around. And I think, to be honest, it benefited us as wrestling fans because Hogan was always going to work a Hogan match. So him working Sid at WrestleMania 8, we still get the Hogan match, but we also got Flair and Savage, which gets overlooked a bit, I think, at WrestleMania
Well,
8. It's a bit of a low-key banger, that one.
Flair and Savage WrestleMania 8 is fine. I have a problem with the fact of Sid had to kick out of the Hogan leg drop because Shango missed his cue.
Yeah, because Papa Shango didn't come out on time. I know it.
Yeah, I mean, like, so technically speaking, Sid has kicked out of the Hogan leg drop because it's canon now, of course.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff.
And then, of course, the real world champion he's announced as Ric Flair. Woo! Indeed.
Yeah.
But the biggest pop, of course, is for the person who comes out last, which, of course, is Hot Rod.
Yeah, he got a great reaction, didn't he?
Yeah, they
Roddy
loved
Piper
him.
in this era is so cool with the lighter color in his hair, coming to the ring in the black t-shirt rather than the sort of traditional white, I guess. And the matches he put on around this time as well. I mean, we mentioned WrestleMania 8 just then. Piper versus Brett at WrestleMania 8. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, he's involved. Just so good, man. Piper was amazing. And he does stuff in this Battle Royal that I think are brilliant as well. You know, we'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. Tito Santana, he wrestled Ric Flair earlier in the day. When he makes his entrance, you can see he's wrestled Ric Flair earlier in the day because his chest is a state, isn't it?
Indeed.
Mark from those chops.
Indeed. I mean, Davey Boy had just been in a match with the Barbarian before he came back out of this match. He literally just come off and went straight back out again for Battle Royal. Which is the credit where it's due for a man who was not in a better shape at this part of his life either, to be fair. He was in a bad place as well.
Yes. Flair, Piper comes out last, as you mentioned, Matt.
Yeah.
And he goes straight for Flair.
Yeah.
And they just start brawling and they end up outside the ring. They're brawling around the outside of the ring as well.
I loved that because the crowd were really into it. But not just them two. It was everyone who began each other on the night paired off in the ring straight away. And I loved that. They kept everything going on through the night. And it all coming to a head in this Battle Royal tonight. And I loved it. It was such good storytelling, even in 91.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, and this is where I suppose I'm going to get to the actual subject of Battle Royals themselves. I'm not a massive fan of a Battle Royal. I find that there's too much going on at the start for me to focus on any one particular thing. And then, so you're missing out on potentially moments that you want to see because your eyes are drawn somewhere else or whatever. And then, effectively, you're waiting for it to get down to the last 3 or 4 anyway. So a lot of the middle stuff doesn't matter. And, you know, this one here, the entrances helped. But there's so many times now where they go to a break, come back, and the ring's already full. Or everyone comes out at once and they just play some generic music. That I'm not a fan of, you know?
Matt Tom, they did a pre-WrestleMania Battle Royal for WrestleMania like 21, 22. They'd walk out to their show's theme song.
Yeah.
I mean, I was WrestleMania 35. And obviously I witnessed the Women's Battle Royal and the Honor of Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And most people walked out on their own before they had a few people for obviously being shown on the pre-show who had the entrances, including that idiot Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live. What the fuck was he doing on that show? Did nothing for him at all?
No idea, mate. No idea.
The
image we get here, though, the image we get here of the ring full of these people, and then on the outside you've got a couple of referees, a few managers as well, and then you can see the crowd because they're quite steeply stacked. The crowd behind them, and you've got the curtains and the balconies all around as well. That image when it starts, I think is just fantastic. It's a really striking image to start the contest.
I got the goosebumps thinking about it again.
Right.
Because it was right what you need. It's right what you needed because like, here we go, boys, go. Yeah,
and then Flair and Piper battling on the outside and so on.
Yeah,
really good stuff. Speaking of Piper, he eliminates Nasty Boy Knobs.
I've got this.
This is so good.
Yeah, because obviously we've seen like Piper's obviously known for being a the odd dirty move here, there, and there, and you the poke to the eye. One thing you do quite really, really well. Poke to the back.
Yeah, well, he's teetering, isn't he? He's like trying to get his balance on the apron, and he just literally gives him a tiny little touch, and off he goes. That tickled me. That really made me laugh.
It did. That's exactly what we're here for. We're here for that sort of carny sort of thing. That's brilliant. And he really sold it as well. To be fair, he really sold it, did Knobs.
Yeah, I mean the crowd are still massively into this at this point.
Mm.
There's a big pop for when Piper does eventually eliminate Flair as well. The crowd enjoy that because obviously they're not fans of Ric Flair.
Huge pop for that. Huge pop for that. Heenan sold it as well. Amazing. Quote, what do I need a teapot for? I could buy all the silver in London.
Yeah, this is it. And the thing is,
he is so good on the mic.
That's what they're battling for. The winner of this battle royal effectively gets an old Russian tea urn. And it's just like, that's so random. It's just like...
I mean, like, if that was brought out now, I could imagine someone taking a baseball bat to it because of the current world affairs.
Well, I suppose. Yeah, very strange. Very strange.
Yeah, very, very strange. But it's fair. It looked like it was a decent trophy, I suppose, for its time.
Yeah, I mean, when it looked like as like almost the sort of side view of it, I'm thinking, okay, that was quite nice. Almost like the old English Division 1 trophy with the wider bottom and the handles
which we won 18 times.
Yes, going back to that time, yeah. But then when it spanned round, it had this bloody hose. Like,
it had a nozzle on the front, yeah. Brilliant.
Like a big silver urn, like the
it
sort
was
of thing
ridiculous, wasn't it?
Sort of thing you get your tea and your coffee from when you work on a building site or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you go on your break. It's just so weird and random.
It was odd. It was so odd.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we get those moments at the start of the match, and then the middle of the match kind of it is what it is. People are getting knocked out one by one, and all the numbers down, aren't they?
It was really weird because you had the poor man's John Morrison eliminated. That is me saying not with my Jannetty the way around this time because we don't talk about Marty anymore, do we? He talked for himself, doesn't he? He was eliminated. No one cared about him being eliminated, of course, which is good. But then you hear chops being thrown by Flair. You hear them being thrown. And I'm like, where's the woo? Yeah,
because it's not happened yet. It's not.
It's
weird,
woo?
Isn't it?
I'm like, where's the woos?
Yeah.
Electric company is open for business. He's lighting you up. But no wooing. It felt really weird.
Yeah,
that's really weird.
Again, I suppose similar to the Undertaker, isn't it? Coming and not quite having the finished article, I suppose, that we're used to in later years.
He's certainly not the guy who not only has two wings in the Hall of Fame, not just the one.
Oh, there we go.
Indeed.
Eventually, we sort of teeter down to effectively the final four. I mean, we get an interesting moment going into that with Piper eliminating the Undertaker. And the Undertaker dragging him straight back out again.
Just before that happened, of course, it's the shriek from Paul Bearer on the outside. So good. Paul Bearer, rest in peace. You were amazing, William Moody. He's like, no.
Yeah. And
so good.
And the urn as well, just the way he'd motion with the urn and get the Undertaker's attention and so on. It's so different to what we had, even literally just maybe 18 months, 2 years later. It was just, you could see the formation of the character, obviously, but it was such early days for it, wasn't it?
It was. It really, really was. And as you say, on the outs after they eliminated each other, basically, they were then fighting on the outside, and I think at the time, take you in his prime, and Piper in his prime. That would have been a match. Yeah. That would have been a match to see.
Yeah,
that would have been a real match to see. We never got to see that, I don't think. So it's a shame. But the crowd loved it. The crowd were into it, though.
Yeah.
The crowd were into it on the outside.
And again,
for
it's characters they're interested in,
Yeah.
engaging with each other, I suppose.
Absolutely.
The final four, we have the Bulldog, the Boss Man, the Mountie, and Typhoon. So 2 heels, 2 faces. They separate off effectively, don't they? And they have like a little meeting corner.
Mountie and Boss Man had a big rivalry on at the time, of course, because Mountie, of course, was locked up by Boss Man, and he was actually referred to as the convict by Heenan, I think. Which was brilliant. So that's fantastic. I love Boss Man's work, both of the face and of the heel, throughout his career, and he really got to shine in the Battle Royal. He really did.
I mean, even the way he went out, for a guy his size, he was incredibly athletic and incredibly quick on his feet.
Yeah.
And even the way he went out, he was kind of, I suppose it's called a low bridge, isn't it? Where they pull the top rope down.
Yeah.
And then, and he ends up sort of effectively running himself out of the ring to a degree over the top rope that's been pulled down. So yeah, and even that looked incredibly quick, incredibly speedy, quite a big athletic bump at the end.
Could move.
Incredible stuff. That basically leaves the Bulldog against the Mountie and Typhoon. They're going to start working together.
Both of whom under your favorite man, Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart, yes, very true. They team up for a little while. And this is the first moment of the match, I think, when the crowd kind of peter out a little bit. They kind of quieten down a touch here, but they quickly come back when there's a mistake between the Mountie and Typhoon. And Typhoon splashes the Mountie in the corner, doesn't he?
Yeah. And the crowd really started to build back up again. They might put me 3.5 hours into the event. The crowd had been through a hell of a lot already. And even with the sound being great, I mean, as you can see above us, obviously, the crowd, was stacked up high. This is the actual event. It was a long night. It was a long night for wrestling in the UK, of course.
On a school night as well. Eventually, the Mountie is eliminated, kind of by Typhoon by accident.
Bulldog ducks out the way.
Yeah, and he sort of bundles him, doesn't he? And off he goes, sort of thing.
Yeah, to be fair, it's probably I've seen this spot so many times in Rumbles over the years. I've never seen it done as cleanly as this.
Okay.
This is the cleanest I've ever seen. Oh my god, I mean, hit my mate over top rope sort of thing. I've never seen it done this well. And by a big man like Typhoon.
Do you think maybe that could be because of the size of Typhoon? So the power, you think, is going to... Because if you've got a smaller guy bumping into the Mountie, he may have to throw himself over the top rope to get the spot done. Whereas with Typhoon bumping into him and the size difference, the extra weight and the size to Typhoon makes it look more convincing, potentially. I don't know.
Very possibly. In Greenback the school night thing, Mill Chris had college the next day, apparently.
He says there, he does indeed.
Indeed, absolutely. So, the size definitely helped in that side of things, for sure.
Yeah, and then eventually, as everyone is fully aware, the Bulldog wins.
Yeah, the crowd was rabid for Davey Boy
going
Smith.
wild. They were going wild.
Yeah,
we then get a moment that I forgot happened. To be fair,
obviously, Earthquake comes back down to rejoin Typhoon, who
there's a few of them, isn't there? Yeah,
Earthquake and Typhoon come down together to attack Davey Boy Smith. And then we get one of the most wholesome moments in wrestling history with one of the last ever appearances of the Eighth Wonder of the World.
Yes. Yeah, Andre the Giant comes down to make the save on a crutch, not looking well at all, to be fair. He doesn't look in a great condition.
Doesn't look in a great condition because he just had knee surgery, they said. Yeah. It was more than that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
But he was playing out the best he could, and he was swinging that crutch. Well, a giant swinging a crutch. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's a pretty dramatic sight.
Yeah, and it was knocker. It was a wonderful moment.
Davey Boy Smith had to roll out the ring to bring the heels with him because Andre at the time physically couldn't get in the ring. So they sort of went out to the floor for Andre to make the save before the Bulldog got back in the ring to celebrate.
And they shook hands, which was what.
And that was great.
Like a man shaking hands with a child, it was though.
Yeah, and that's basically the end of the match. The Bulldog gets his tier and he gets to go off and take it to the building site he works on and share it out with everyone there, I suppose, if that's his thing. But
it was a very wholesome result. The only way it could have been any better was if Piper and Bulldog were the last two, and then that crowd would have been unbelievable, probably. But it's what it is.
I guess
it's what it is. I mean, bear in mind, anyone who was there that day, so that'd be you, Chris, got to see one of the last times that Andre the Giant ever was in a wrestling arena. One of the last times.
Yeah.
So be proud of that.
A couple of things I want to quickly cover because I'm sort of keeping half an eye on the time. A couple of things I want to quickly cover before we get on to our links for next week and our ratings of the match itself. First of all, real sign of the times, I think. This is 1991. It's, 31 years ago now, it would be, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. Now, in this battle royal, there's 20 men. 8 of them died by the age of 61. That's incredible. That is insane. And whether it's Kerry Von Erich with a suicide or heart attacks or whatever, and it's just a real. Now I'm glad the wrestling business, it has its problems, of course it does, but it's not the same as it was way back when. So 8 out of 20, but virtually half, just shy of half of the field in the Battle Royal dying before hitting 62 effectively. The eldest who passed away was 61, which was Roddy Piper. And they were all through heart related issues, suicides, drugs, and so on. Incredibly sad.
The only good thing about it is that 10 of the people in this Battle Royal are in the Hall of Fame.
Well, there we go. I'm going to read a quick bit out here. Matt, I nearly called you Mags then. Oh, that was a close one. That nearly went then.
You had to follow me arms, didn't you? Like go on.
I got a couple of DMs from Millwall Chris with a couple of quick stories about being at the event. So I'll just run through what he sent me. He says here, between the matches, he went off for a toilet break or to get a drink. Don't remember which one. Obviously, not wanting to miss any action, I'm going to be as quick as possible. As I turn onto the concourse, I just managed to stop myself bumping into two gentlemen. As I stood there, I realised it was Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. I stood there slightly aghast and unable to say anything coherent. Heenan just kind of laughed, and they went into one of the boxes to film the links between the matches. Not sure to this day whether my three friends believed me. That's a great story, isn't it? Eh? That's a
Monsoon's story. Not a small man. Even in his later years, he's not a small man.
Yeah, giant fella.
Exactly. That's the reason why they called it that position Gorilla. After him, of course.
Mill Chris continues. Being 1991, kayfabe was still alive. The faces and the heels arrived by separate coaches. One man arrived shortly after by himself in a black cab. That man was one half of the Rockers. No, not Scottish Jugglow's hero, Marty Jannetty. Shawn Michaels. I'd like to think that he missed the coach due to having a big shit when the coach left the hotel. But
the tone, Chris.
But I suspect he had probably been on the piss all night and just missed it. I asked, did you get to interact with the wrestlers at all coming off the coach and so on when Chris was at this event? And he said here, his mate was feeling a bit brave or stupid, depending on which way you look at it, and he called Typhoon a fat see you next Tuesday. For a moment, I thought he was going to just pile through the group of people and rip his head off. Fortunately, he didn't. So that's, well, thankfully he didn't, because Typhoon was a big fella as well. So yeah, great stuff, man. Great stuff. And this is a nice one to finish on as well. It's only years later, Chris says, that I realised how lucky I was to have seen The Undertaker, Piper, Bossman, Bulldog, Legion of Doom, Andre the Giant, Kerry Von Erich, Ric Flair, and of course the greatest ever horseman, Paul Roma. And I said I'm going to block you for that horseman comment, but the rest of that list, 100%.
Absolutely. I've got one more thing in the chat from Millwall Chris. When Typhoon was eliminated, he landed right in front of him and his mates.
Brilliant. Apparently, you can see Chris.
Yeah. Was going to get
the Nasty Boys match.
When he was pass, he said eliminated. When Typhoon was eliminated, he landed right in front of Millwall Chris. Apparently.
Okay, so we'll see if we get a camera angle there. But Chris did mention in a message you can see him when the Rockers get beat by the Nasty Boys earlier in the card. He sort of drops his head into his hands because he was a big Rockers fan. So.
Oh,
we'll have to keep an eye out for you, buddy. We'll have to keep an eye out for you.
Scottish Day saying, yes, my hero, Marty. Less of that.
Fuck
and Dan Griffin says, still love having a chat that shuts up the Tom and Matt inside.
It is great. Really appreciated. And again, it's been fantastic. People joining us all evening. Absolutely awesome. Matt, out of 10 then, our rating for this match. What are you thinking?
Now, bearing in mind, you're probably going to give it a higher rating as usual because you hate Battle Royals. So I thoroughly enjoyed it personally. Okay. I mean, is it the best match I've ever going to see in my life? No, of course not. But given everything that's involved, I'm going to say, I'm going to give it a solid 8 because for me, it had everything in it. It had moments you could cheer for. It had moments you can catch your breath. It had, there was something going on. Which is always a good thing about Battle Royal. Nothing was the Battle Royal that's stale. But also the fact of the names that were in it. They were all big names. It wasn't like they had like 2 big names and the rest of them were all jobbers. These guys Any one of these guys, you thought, okay, this guy could legitimately good enough and over enough to win this.
Yeah, okay. 8. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
So
I mean,
I really think that.
yeah, no, okay. I'm torn, really, because I don't enjoy Battle Royals, as you rightfully pointed out, Matt. However, I did enjoy this, but I've got to kind of put it fairly with regards to ratings I've given other matches, so as not to sort of contradict myself. Now, the beginning I enjoyed, the ending I enjoyed, the middle, it kind of stalled for me.
Yeah.
So, to me, this is good. It's above average, but it's not great. So I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. So that's for me, mate. Okay. I suppose only thing left now is to decide where we go next week. Whether that is me and Matt, me and Mags, me and somebody else. Who knows what will happen next week? It's a magical mystery tour at the moment with us. But Matt, what have you got for us? Where are you linking and how?
I'm linking, bearing in mind you can link with a variety of things in China wrestling, and I had to go back and make sure you haven't done 24, and I know you haven't. I'm going to stick with match type.
Okay.
To annoy you.
Okay.
I'm going to a battle royal. This is a battle royal like one you've never seen before. Well, you probably have seen before, but there hasn't been one like it since either. I'm going to the year 2000. I'm going to April 1st, 2000, at the Anaheim Pond in Anaheim for WrestleMania 2000.
Would that be WrestleMania? Yeah.
WrestleMania 2000. The WrestleMania which only had one singles match, and it was the Cat versus Terry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I'm going to the Hardcore Battle Royal for the Hardcore Championship.
Now, I do remember that. And it is crazy and silly and funny. And there's, again, the way you described this Battle Royal, with there being quite a lot going on to keep you entertained, I think there's a similar vibe with this Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2000, isn't there?
13 wrestlers in this Battle Royal, and the title could change hands multiple times in 15 minutes. 15-minute match. Okay?
Right.
I'm not telling you how many times it changes hands because some people may not have seen it. I'm getting a lot of people in the chat already firing off about it. Dan Griffin saying, like, give it Battle Royal. WrestleMania 17 was tempting, very tempting. Dan Griffin saying, hardcore. Yes, absolutely. Scotty Tony agreeing with me. Pete Gass's finest hour. Absolutely, Pete Gass's finest hour.
And I'll tell you what, there's something in that match as well that would be really interesting to dig into, and that's the finish. Because the finish is a botch. They get it wrong. They screw up the timing. As Matt brilliantly explained, it's a 15-minute time limit. So when that expires, whoever has the championship at that point is the champion, is the hardcore champion. And they screwed the timing up. The ref missed his cue, and it all went wrong. So that's something really interesting to look into.
Match, by the way, ref match was Tim White.
Okay,
Timmy White, the guy who was pedigreed into everything. He was thrown into steel cages. Basically, he was El Hebner, but for hardcore matches.
Yeah, Tim White was also Andre the Giant's, I suppose, handler, they called him for a while. He would drive him about and basically be made to sit there and drink with him in evenings and so on. I bet that man has some fantastic stories.
Indeed.
Yeah. That is a very interesting choice.
Exactly. So I thought it was a good choice. So what's your counter offer?
My counter offer is using the fact that we are in the UK here, and also using the fact that the Bulldog is in this match. Obviously, he won it.
Yes.
I would like to look at a time when the Bulldog perhaps wasn't so happy for wrestling in front of his hometown fans. And that's WWF One Night Only from 1997 in Birmingham, where the Bulldog wrestles Shawn Michaels for the European Championship. Now, the match itself is fairly good, so there's a bit of good wrestling to talk about. But what I want to get into is the behind-the-scenes stuff, because the Bulldog was supposed to win. Michaels did what Michaels does, acted like a little bitch, got the ending of the match changed, and there was all sorts of family issues for the Bulldog because he had family there and somebody who was very sick as well to watch the match and see him win this European Championship and so on. Lots of backstage crap going on, And also, we get to see the Bulldog with his working boots on and 1997 Shawn Michaels, who weren't half bad either, let's be fair. So that's what I'm going to put up against it, my friend. Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog from Birmingham, 1997, one night only pay-per-view, which was only shown in this country and in Canada, apparently.
Maybe Chris calling what it is, the Birmingham Screwjob.
Birmingham Screwjob. Well, yeah, could be. So those are your choices for this week. As always, the poll will be up on the Chain Wrestling Twitter account shortly after the audio version comes out, Wednesday, Thursday sort of time. I try and put the poll up. I say Wednesday, Thursday. It's very rarely that early. I always forget. But keep an eye out for it. You'll see it. Your options are the Hardcore Battle Royal from WrestleMania 2000 or WrestleMania 16, and the little controversy with the finish at the end and the craziness of some of the stunts and so on there. Lots of people to discuss, lots of wrestlers to talk about there. Or the UK pay-per-view, one night only, 1997, Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog, and all the controversy over the European Championship and the finish of that main event there. At Chain_Wrestling is the Twitter account. Chuck it a follow. That's where all the polls and non-wrestling topics and so on go up on. Matt, do you want to let everybody know whereabouts they can find you online and all your shows and all of that stuff?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter at MattTechUK. I've got lots of content here on Tekkers, usually watch-alongs and the volley. On hiatus for a little bit, just while we're getting things sorted out. We're going to be coming back hard and fast toward the end of the season for the title run, of course. And, of course, all the stuff over Musical Media. I'm on a lot of stuff, a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's all great stuff as well. I'm a good cop, bad cop. I love, the volley. I try and catch it after I finish this. I enjoy that as well. Just great stuff, mate. Great stuff. And also, yes, follow Magsy on TikTok at MagsAllPods. And Magsy is also on Twitter at PodfatherMags as well. You can follow me at SJP Words on Twitter, and on Facebook. The group you need is SJP, all the shows and info, and all sorts of stuff coming out. If you follow that, you'll get the links to it all, whether that's the Doctor Who pod with Dan Griffin, whether that's Nitro Nights with Scottish Danny looking at WCW one show at a time and proving to Steve-O it is actually quite good at times. The Waiting Room with Benny Mac returns this Friday. Season 2, this Friday starts. Look back at Quantum Leap, episode by episode. And of course, Chain Wrestling here on a Monday night, podcasting later in the week at SJP Words for all of that stuff. Lastly, before we depart, I just want to say, Mr. Mags, we love you. Okay? We absolutely adore you. We all just think the world of you. Can't wait to see you back. Okay? Get yourself all sorted. Get all the stuff you need to do sorted, and we'll see you very soon, my friend. We love you. See you soon. Matt, thank you very much for stepping in this week. It's been a blast.
It's been a pleasure and a privilege, sir. I'm going to go get some cream soda now and just drink the cheap £1 stuff.
Ah, lovely audio throwback. I'm off now to DM Trish Stratus and see if she will take me on in a wrestling match. I'll see you next week, maybe, my friend, okay?
We're out of here. Boom.